Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. This is Eros of today's church. Eros of today's church. And today, we shall be looking at something very, very exciting. But before we get into that, I want to take some time to thank those of you who have subscribed to our channel. You are doing a great work. By subscribing to our channel, by sharing the video, you are helping to spread the gospel. Please continue to do that. God bless you. Now, today we are talking about divorce. Divorce. And we're going to be asking some pertinent questions. We're going to be asking, for instance, is sexual immorality the only condition, according to the scriptures, for divorce? Is it? Or could there be other conditions? Now, if a man divorces his wife, does it imply he has lost the right to the pulpit? Or can he continue to minister? Now, this program is going to be in 3 parts. Part 1 is today. And part 1, we're going to be looking at what does the Bible say about divorce. We're going to be looking at the issues of some white missionaries, white evangelists, white televangelists, white apostles who divorced and continued with their ministry. We're going to be looking at their ministry and what they were able to do. The second part, we're going to be talking about the African and Nigerian ministers who have divorced. And then the third part, we're going to be looking at what are the other conditions that could be responsible for divorce. Are they acceptable by God or are they not? So 3-part series, starting from today. Divorce has become very rampant in this generation. The country with the largest number, the highest rate of divorce is Maldives, followed by Guyana, followed by Russia. Then we have Moldova, we have Belarus, then we have China. These are the countries with the highest number of divorce in the world. But that's not all. In America, out of the total number of states that they have, last 2 years, a study showed that 689,308 cases of divorce were filed across only 45 states of America. So we ask, why is divorce so rampant in this generation? Why? Why is it that in spite of the fact that God condemns it and society tends to be very uncomfortable with it, yet it happens? As a matter of fact, studies show that it continues to increase in the rate every year. Why? Why? Now, recent studies show that 28% of Christians who get married are open to divorce. 28%. That's more than 1 out of every 4. Anyways, what does the Bible teach about divorce? In Matthew chapter 5, verses 31 to 32, Jesus was speaking and he said, "It has been said that whosoever wants to divorce his wife should give her a writing of divorcement. But I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery. And whosoever marries somebody who has been put away because of a divorce, commits adultery." In verse 9, he said, "And I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, except for the cause of fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery. And whosoever shall marry somebody who had been divorced, commits adultery." These were the words of Jesus Christ. In Malachi chapter 2, verse 16, the Bible says God hates divorce. God hates divorce. He said that to divorce is to deal with a wife treacherously. God hates divorce. In Deuteronomy 22, 28 and 29, the Bible says, "If a man shall find a girl, a virgin, that is not betrothed, and shall lay hold on her, and lay with her, and then they be found, that the man is by order expected to pay 50 shekels of silver to the girl's father, and that he will never put her away from him." And finally, 1 Corinthians chapter 7 from verse 11 to 15, Paul was talking about marriage and divorce, and he said, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or else be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife." Verse 12, "But to the rest I speak, not the Lord, but I." And he said, "If a brother has a wife that is an unbeliever, and she is pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away." Verse 13, "The woman has a husband which is not a believer, and he is pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him." Let her not leave him. Verse 14, it says, "For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband, or else the children will be unclean. But now we know that the children are not unclean, but they are clean. He said, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister has no obligation. It's not under bondage under such circumstances. But God has called all of us to peace. So this is the word of the Lord. These are the scriptures that deal on divorce. We know that the family unit is under siege. We know that so many forces are attacking the home, trying to destroy the fabric of the society. Because if the home is destroyed, the society is equally destroyed. Now, the question is, why are Christians getting involved in divorces? Why? Well, from the evidence of history, we can say that this did not start today. No, it did not. As a matter of fact, one of the Anglican reverends who actually founded the Methodist Church, John Wesley, was a divorcee. Surprised? Well, things happened. What really happened? Well, Mary alleged that John Wesley was spending so much time with female admirers in the church. She was neglected, she was spurned, she was ignored. Meanwhile, John Wesley instructed her to remain plain, whatever that means. Feeling rejected, feeling spurned, Mary began to release some of the private messages of her husband to his enemies so that they can ridicule him, they can insult him. In a stormy exchange of letters, John Wesley told his wife that her life is meaningless and that she will remain very insignificant. Now, physical abuse, insults, neglect characterized their marriage. John Wesley left for a ministry tour in Ireland in 1758. What did he tell his wife as a parting word? He said to her, "I hope I shall see your wicked face no more." That was how bad the situation was. Now, John Wesley sent affectionate letters to other ladies, for which reason the wife accused him of adultery. And what did she do? She responded by calling down fire from heaven and all the curses from Genesis to Revelation on top of the head of her husband. That was how bad it is. John Hampson Sr. claimed that he walked into a stormy session, a disturbing scene taking place in John Wesley's home. What did he see? He saw the wife pulling the hair of the husband on the floor, which is to say that physical violence was involved in their marriage. Catherine Kuhlman was born on May 9, 1907, to a set of German parents in Concordia, Missouri, USA. She was actually the third of 4 children. After she got born again at the age of 14, she began to minister and to preach everywhere. And then eventually she started a radio ministry. It was on the basis of the radio ministry that she invited one man named Burroughs Waltrip. Burroughs Waltrip met her, and both of them got attracted to each other. It was magnetic. It was so romantic and so automatic that they just clicked. Now, when Burroughs Waltrip went back home to Denver, he actually divorced his wife, abandoned the 2 children, and claimed that, well, she has left him. After a while, they got married. She, Catherine Kuhlman, and Burroughs Waltrip. And a lot of people left her because they felt it was a wrong move. They felt it was completely not decent. It was wrong. Many of our ministry associates left her. But she carried on with the marriage, only for her to discover in 1944 that her ministry and her life was going down the drain. Feeling that her marriage to Burroughs Waltrip was a great disaster, a mistake, in 1944, she separated from him. And then in 1947, he officially divorced her. Number 3, Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland is one of the fathers of the Word of Faith movement. But do you know that Kenneth Copeland married 3 times? Well, he did. In 1955, he got married to Ivy Bodiford. 1955. But the marriage ended 3 years later in 1958. Secondly, he married Cynthia Davis in 1958. And 3 years again later, in 1961, the marriage ended before he finally married Gloria Copeland, and together they started Kenneth Copeland Ministries. Number 4, Richard Roberts. Richard Roberts is the son of Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts is the founder of Oral Roberts University, as well as the founding chairman of Oral Roberts Evangelistic Association. But in 1968, Richard married Patty Holcomb, a member of the university charter class in 1965. The marriage produced 2 children, 2 daughters. And in 1978, they divorced, but Richard Roberts continued today as the chairman and CEO of Oral Roberts Evangelistic Association. Number 5, Juanita Bynum. Juanita Bynum is a pastor, a televangelist, an author, a gospel music minister, but she's been married twice. The first marriage started in the 80s, but it ended due to what she calls abuse, physical abuse. Then she got married to Thomas Wesley Weeks in 2002, but 6 years later in 2008, the marriage ended. So she had been married twice. Number 6, Paula White. Paula White has been married 3 times. Her first marriage was to Dean Knight in 1984 to 1989. Her second marriage was to Randy White in 1990 to 2007. That's 17 years. Now they parted again, and in 2015 she got married to Jonathan Cain. 3 times she's been married. You will notice that we are not condemning these people, we are not judging them, we are not criticizing them. What we are saying is, these are the facts. And the question we want to ask is, when a man divorces or when a woman divorces, has she lost the right to the pulpit? If the answer is yes, then who is leading them as the minister? Is it the devil? If they are actually living in adultery, can we say that it is the devil walking through them? Can we? If they are actually living in adultery. But if they are not living in adultery, why is our interpretation of these scriptures different from the ones that they use abroad? Like we said, in the next episode of this, the next part of this story, we shall look at the African and Nigerian ministers who have divorced. And then in the third part, we're going to be looking at your contribution. We're going to be asking some questions. And we're going to say, please, begin now to do your video. Do your own video. Give us your own response and put it to the number, the WhatsApp number on the screen. We want to hear from you and we will publish it. We guarantee you that we'll publish your opinion. Let the world hear your own voice and let us all grow together in the knowledge of Christ. This is where we draw the curtains on today's episode. But please, let me remind us, kindly subscribe, kindly share, kindly comment, and kindly like our video. God bless you. See you soon.